Welcome back to Native Strength. I'm your host, Hyapatia, and we're just starting our exploration of the circles of life, a map to our life that can guide us on our path. We left off at the age of 3 when we were traveling to our first stop around the outside of the big South Circle, the Southeast. This is the direction of our attitude and approach, and we'll be on this small circle until we're 6 years old. This is where the stage is set for how we'll face the world. For example, at 3 years and 9 months, we face the South on the small Southeast Circle, and this is where we decide on our emotional attitude and how we'll approach life. This often has to do with the techniques we've used to get our way. We explore how we relate to the world emotionally. When we find a successful way to get what we want, we remember that and we use it again. We learn what's acceptable, and we begin to hide the parts of ourselves that are different and frowned upon by our caregivers. We may interpret these things as bad, and this is how we start to believe that we're not worthy of love in our original form. For example, in the future, we may think that there's something wrong with us if we like classical music and the rest of the family likes country. When we reach 4 years and 6 months, we become concerned with our physical abilities and limitations compared to others. We begin to form opinions about ourselves based on our body and what we can and can't do very well. We believe that our body is who we are at this stage. We're beginning to define ourselves by what is acceptable in our society for people with our body type. Boys may be told that certain activities are unacceptable for them. Large children may be guided to certain activities that their small and weaker friends are not. Now, this is the age when some girls might be cautioned about getting hurt, when their brothers are encouraged to not be afraid. This may make girls feel like it's not safe for them to take risks. At 5 years and 3 months, we reach the north on the small Southeast Circle. Some kids pretend they know things they don't, and we see a lot of adults who do this too. Others may pretend they don't know as much as they do in order to get someone to do things for them. This is where the seeds of this behavior are first planted. When a child finds something that works to get their way, they tend to repeat that behavior. By the age of 6, we face the east on the small Southeast Circle. Now, this is the direction of illumination, enlightenment, and spirituality. Hopefully, we've learned to have compassion for others. Our empathy is an important first step toward our attitude and approach to spirituality. When we can put ourselves in another's shoes, we become enlightened. Now, from 6 years to 6 years and 9 months, we begin another unstructured journey from one small circle of attitude and approach to the small circle of the South. This is where we'll begin to learn about our emotions, trust, and justice, and perspective. Now, we're already concerned with all the attributes of the big South Circle, the emotions, music, art, innocence, and guilt, but here we examine them in detail. This is the small circle where many of us will find the seeds of our sacred dream. We move from a place where we were comparing ourselves to others and finding ways to get our needs met to an area where we begin to understand different perspectives. It's here that we start to look at the world from other points of view. We're able to imagine what it's like to be someone else. At 6 years and 9 months, we enter the small South Circle on the big South Circle. Now, this means that our overall focus will be on the emotions and perspectives. Our more direct focus will also be on our emotions, learning who to trust and finding joy. Do you see why kids at this age are so emotional? Their detailed focus is in the South, so they're easily overwhelmed with emotions. They're also concerned with guilt and innocence. This is the age where some kids who are just trying to do the right thing get labeled as a tattletale. It's hard for them to distinguish between major and minor violations. They also enjoy music, art, and theatrics. By 7 years and 6 months, we've moved to the west of the small South Circle, and now we're focusing on our physical body. We're exploring the boundaries and capabilities of our growing body. We realize how far we've come in the last few years, but we're struggling with the concept of might equals right, and we may be tempted to try this on younger kids. This is also the direction of imagination, and it may be quite active at this age. Some kids will be encouraged to show other kids how much stronger they are, or they may be told that an overactive imagination is a bad thing. This is how we are molded and sculpted to be what our caregivers want us to be. These seeds have deep roots by the time we get to adulthood. At 8 years and 3 months, we face the north of the small South Circle, and we're focused on knowledge and wisdom. We're incorporating and processing all that we've learned in the last 3 years. Our intellectual abilities have grown, and we take stock of how far we've come and how far we have yet to go. It's important that children at this age are encouraged and reminded of how much they have learned in 8 short years. Adults would be lucky to have become fluent in a new language, mastered a new body, learned about physics, and navigated the social landscape of family and school in such a short amount of time. Kids are really pretty amazing. By the age of 9, we're facing the east on the small South Circle. Now this means that we're contemplating our spirituality and our connection to all things. Our focus is on our own personal development. Now, before we begin our unstructured trip to the next small circle, let's stop and look back. Do you remember what things you enjoyed as a child? Did you have any activities you wanted to pursue, but for one reason or another you had to let them go? These are the seeds of your sacred dream. Your sacred dream is a very big part of the plan your soul made for this life. Maybe you wanted to be a professional wrestler, but your parents didn't think girls should be so rough. Did you enjoy art, but were told it was a frivolous waste of time? Maybe your family got frustrated with all of your storytelling, but deep inside, you always wanted to be a writer. Take back your sacred dream by giving yourself permission to allow your core personality to shine. As an adult, you don't have to fit into a mold that others have chosen for you. You can go back in time. Allow your inner elders to tell your inner children that it's okay to tell stories now. Painting pictures is not a waste of time, and it's perfectly acceptable for women to be physically active and fight. Times have changed. You're now the adult, and you give yourself permission to be who you want to be. Now, let's take it a step further. There are many ways to make a living by fulfilling your dream. Ronda Rousey is a very successful wrestler and mixed martial artist. And there are millions of writers and crafters who make a good living. What did you enjoy as a child that you haven't allowed yourself to do in a long time? Maybe it's time to let your inner children have a little fun now and then. Maybe there's even a way you can turn your fun into a career. sacred dream. Forget myself, give to the team. There's nothing left anyway. Already gave it all away. Never any time for me. No time to grow or just to be. I gotta work all the time. Erase the guilt that's planted in my mind. Born free but taxed to death. I can't seem to get ahead. The more I work, the less I get. I never kept my needs met. Expand the range, embrace the change, and rearrange my goals. It's overtime, step out of line, and redefine my role. I'm taking back my sacred dream. I you know what I mean now. Can't keep me down anymore. Just watch me, I'm gonna soar. Gonna do what I wanna do now. Listen to my heart from now on. You better make time for you, or you'll be singing this song. There's a reason I was put here. I got a gift that only I can give. Nobody's gonna interfere. Without my dream, I won't live. Got self-esteem, it's now mainstream. My sacred dream, my way. Take the word of what you heard and undeterred your way. Take back your sacred dream. I know, you know what I mean now. Take back your sacred dream. It's your sacred dream. Take back your sacred dream. I know, you know what I mean now. Take back your sacred dream. It's your sacred We're deciding if we're overly emotional or unfeeling compared to others. We may decide that women are more emotional than men, or that emotions are bad and should be hidden at all costs. This is what I mean when I say that we're interpreting what we have learned about emotions. This also applies to art, music, and the other attributes of the South. We may decide that art and music are frivolous wastes of time based on what we've seen. Since the South is also concerned with justice, we may decide that crime pays when we see people getting away with bad behavior. Now, these decisions are not set in stone. They're just the ones that we've settled on as young children. As we go around the circles of life, we'll have chances to change these beliefs. Now remember, they can be changed at any time, really. It's just easier to change certain thoughts and actions when we're facing the direction that influences that aspect of life. Keep in mind, though, that the circles of life doesn't consider circumstances beyond your control. The circles of life can't predict interference from outside influences. One of my favorite teachers used to say 80% of what happens is karma and 20% is just shit happens. I like to say doo-doo occurs. Regardless of how you phrase it, we all know that bad things happen to good people, and we see examples of it every day, just as we see undeserving people getting lucky breaks. The Southwest is also where the star people from Osirikonwea sit. Now this is the planet of the dreamers. Osiris was lord of the underworld and judged the dead. Do you see the connection? Osirikonwea, Osiris, he interpreted their actions as either good or bad. Do you see how this fits in with the Southwest being the place of interpretations? Osiris was also the god of fertility. We're fertile with all kinds of possibilities. It's up to us to decide what to do with our fertility. We get to interpret how we will use our ability to create. We choose the reality we manifest. If we think we deserve to be miserable, we'll make that our reality either consciously or subconsciously. You see, we have much more power than we realize, and that's what the star people are trying to help us to see. When you use the native strength wheels and keys, you'll unlock your natural abilities. It'll seem like magic at first, but it's really just a matter of opening your eyes. Remember what made you happy as a child. These are the seeds of your sacred dream. We often forget these things when we get busy with life and work and chores, family and friends. They keep us so busy, we forget all about what brought us joy as a child. How can you do these things as an adult now? Even better, how can you use these things you enjoyed so much as a child to provide for your needs? That's your sacred dream. But your sacred dream is more than just how you're going to make a living. It's what your soul planned while on the other side. It's your path, a way to get your emotional, spiritual, and intellectual needs met along with the physical. Your path will have many twists and turns, highs and lows, but it will provide you the best way to learn the lessons you set out to learn. Okay, at 10 years and 6 months, we find ourselves facing the west of the small southwest circle. So now we decide how we will interpret what we have learned about the west. We could decide that money is all that matters and poverty must be avoided at all costs. This could set us up for a lot of heartache down the road. We could find ourselves sacrificing our friends, our health, and even our self-respect for money. We could decide that a woman who is stronger than the boys is not attractive to the opposite sex, or that a boy who doesn't excel in sports isn't masculine enough. This is where the seed is set for girls to purposely lose to boys or pretend they need help when they really don't, in order to appear more feminine. At 11 years and 3 months, we may interpret our good grades to mean that we are destined for a career in academia. Or if we bring home D's and F's, we may feel like a failure. We may decide that school is a waste of time for us, and we might start to consider other ways of providing for our future. You may be saying to yourself at this age, yes, these are not usually conscious thoughts yet, but as I said, the seeds are being planted. This is where it all starts. Kids are usually much smarter and more aware of what is going on around them than we give them credit for, even if they can't put it all into words just yet. For example, when a parent says something while watching TV, the child hears it, and it sculpts them into the person that they'll become. If a 10 or 11-year-old hears the parent say, "That singer is so hot, that dress is amazing," they will learn that this look is to be admired, and they'll hope one day to please their parent in such a way. On the other hand, if they hear, "That singer is such a whore. Why in the world would she wear that dress?" the child has learned that women who dress like this are to be ridiculed. Either way, they have an interpretation of the performance based on more than just the music. A seed has been planted on how they should interpret others based on what they have heard. Children are very impressionable. Now, at the age of 12, we face the east on the small southwest circle of the big south circle, where we examine our enlightenment. It's at this age that many children first begin to think about life and death. Spiritual issues and karma may take a center stage. Many may see for the first time that the people they thought were infallible actually have their own agenda and are not so righteous after all. This can cause somewhat of a minor spiritual crisis. What we once thought was pure and good may now be a bit tainted, and we're left to find our own sense of right and wrong. Now it's time for another small, unstructured trip from the small southwest circle to the small west. Once we get there, we're going to be examining our physical world, our body, introspection, and intuition for the next 3 years. But for the 9 months that we're on this journey, we're solidifying our interpretations and preparing for this examination. At 13 years and 6 months, we are facing the west of the small west circle. Now, many boys at this age enjoy the strength of their growing bodies. They can do things that they never could do before. It's also at this age that many start to develop their own intuition and might find esoteric studies to be interesting. The unknown and the mysterious can be fascinating. By the time we reach 14 and 3 months and the north of the small west circle, we may feel like we have a good handle on how the world works. Some may even think they know more than their caregivers. Of course, we may not see the full display of this belief for a while, but this is where it starts. The things a child of this age is taught in school may be quite different from what his parents were taught. It may appear as though the world has changed so much since his parents were his age that he thinks he knows more than the adults. Again, it may be a few years before he voices this opinion. At the age of 15, we find ourselves in the east of the small west circle. Perhaps our enlightenment appears to be grander than it actually is, or maybe we are humble in our ignorance. We're focused on becoming enlightened, more than just learned and recited wisdom, but a true inner knowing. Our enlightenment is not the kind that transcends ages. It's based on the physical world we find ourselves living in. For the most part, we are illuminated in how our world works, how our body functions, and the part that money and hard work play in all of it. Now, the next unstructured journey takes us to the small northwest circle, where we begin to look at planning and patterns. We'll be on this small circle until we're 18, and so this is where we'll be making some huge decisions about our future. By the time we arrive in the South at 15 years and 9 months, we may already be thinking about college and what we want to do for the rest of our life. Our emotions of the South may have all kinds of ideas for us. There are so many things the world has to offer and explore. By the time we reach the West, at the age of 16 years and 6 months, we may have realized that many of the things we dreamed of are not practical for one reason or another. Maybe our body is incapable, our abilities out of line with our dream, or perhaps we don't see a way it can help us to make a living. Some of us may want to travel the world or to go to an expensive school, but find our finances make this impossible. This is the reality of the West. It's here in the direction of planning that we must figure out how to do the things we want. For example, maybe you wanted to be an artist, a painter, but how can you make a living doing that? At the age of 16 and a half, you may not yet realize that there are many areas of construction that require an artist. At 17 years and 3 months, we sit in the north of the small northwest circle. We're starting to recognize patterns of behavior in others. Now, this is the first step to recognizing our own patterns. Seeing the things that lead to repeated successes and failures can help us to make good plans. Now, at this point, we're halfway around the big south circle. It's at this point that we can spin the wheel and look at it from the opposite direction. That would be the southeast attitude and approach. The wise person adjusts their attitude and approach in their planning. They recognize when the things that brought them success in the past no longer work. For example, a young child can often get what they want by looking cute and saying, "Pretty please," with sugar on top. But that doesn't work for a teenager or a young adult. Our attitude and approach has to change if we're going to get our needs met. We must plan a new pattern of behavior. Now that we're in the north, we can use our wisdom to do this. Are you beginning to get the idea of how the circles of life works? The further along we go, the more wisdom we can gain from it as we look back and think about where we are now and how that relates to the past. At the ripe old age of 18, we face the direction of enlightenment on the small northwest circle. If we allow ourselves to take a moment and look back at how far we've come, we will see that we've made a tremendous amount of progress. But most of us only look at how far we have to go. We're planning for our future. Dreams of college, a career, marriage, and family usually fill our minds. We're using what we have learned so far to plan a life for ourselves that will be fulfilling. Next time, we'll explore the life of a young adult. The directions we were in during major events in our childhood will influence us in predictable ways. I'll show you how to turn things around and spin the wheel to find a way that helps you to let go of any negativity associated with the past. Until next time, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. Hey!